Hello all, this is Mr. Trudy here. Today's video will be about declining second declension nouns. We have several types of second declension nouns here, and also comparing them to the first, so you can see certain patterns that emerge between the first and second declension. Now, I've already declined our first declension noun here. We have nauta nautai, which means sailor, and running through the forms we have nauta, nautai, nautai, nautam, nauta, nautai, nautarum, nautis, nautas, nautis. Now, coming to our second declension, we have four main types. We have second declension masculine nouns that end in a us. Here our example is amicus, amici, which means friend. We also have second declension masculine R nouns. Now we have R nouns that do not have a stem change and R nouns that do. I have chosen one of the second declension masculine R nouns that does have a stem change, ager, agri, which is field. Then you also have second declension neuters, which always end in that um. Here we have wereboom, werebe, which means word. Now, returning to our second declension US masculine noun, we have amicus, amici. So just like in the first declension, where how you get your stem is you go to your genitive singular entry of the dictionary form, and you take off the genitive singular ending, which for the first declension is that AE, and you get your stem. It is the exact same with your second declension, except instead of taking off an AE, you take off the second declension ending, that long I. So you take the long I off, and you get your stem. So you see you have amicus, amici, take away the I, you have amic. If you go to ager, agri, you take off the I, and you have ager. And then if you go to wereboom, werebe, take off the I, and you have your stem, werb. Once you have your stem, just like with the first declension, you add your declension endings, and you have your forms. However, the only thing that is different with your second declension is the pattern of endings you will add to your forms. Otherwise, it's the exact same, so you translate the cases the same. They have the same functions in the sentence. It's just a different set of endings for a second declension. So your second declension dative singular ending is O, so you have amico. Your accusative singular masculine second declension ending is um, so you have amicum. And then for your ablative singular, you have an O, so you have amico. Coming down to our plural forms, for your nominative plural second declension masculine ending, you have an I. For your genitive plural, you have aurum. For your dative plural, you have is. For your accusative plural, you have os. And then for your ablative plural, second declension, you have is. Now, if you look at these endings, you have a number of O's that pop up. These O's are actually your second declension vowel. So your second declension is the O declension. Your first declension is the A declension. That's much more apparent. But that should help you remember some endings in the second declension if you associate that O with your second declension nouns. So you have amicos, amici, amico, amicum, amico, amici, amicorum, amicis, amicos, amicis. Translating these quickly, you'll see that you have the same prepositions as you do for your first declension. So amicus would just be the friend, amici, of the friend, amico, to or for the friend, amicum, the friend, and then amico, with the friend, and amici, friends, amicorum, of the friends, amicis, to or for the friends, amicos, the friends, and then amicis, with the friends. Now, coming to our second declension R noun here, the first thing you have to do with any second declension masculine R noun is determine whether you have a stem change. In order to do that, you need to know your dictionary entry form. So you have ager, agri. Coming to your genitive singular form, if you drop the I ending off, you have the stem ager. So you see that the E drops out. Most of your second declension nouns that have a stem change will drop an E like this. Another big one is liber, libri, which means book, which is where we get the English word library from. A helpful way to remember your stems here is think of English derivatives. From ager, agri, we get agriculture. If you think of how we spell agriculture, we have AGR and then the rest of it, so you do not have an E there. If you think of library in English, you have LIBR. Once again, you do not have that E. So think English words to help you remember your Latin stems. Now adding our endings onto our forms here. With the exception of your nominative singular, all of your endings will be exactly the same once you add them onto your stem. So for dative singular, once again, we have O, so we have agro. For accusative singular, agrum. For ablative singular, we have O, so agro. And then for our nominative forms, nominative plural ending is that I, so we have agri. Genitive plural ending is orum, so we have agrorum. Dative plural ending is is, so agris. Accusative plural masculine ending is os, so agros. And then ablative plural ending is is, so agris again. If you look at your endings here, you notice that they are exactly the same with US, second declension masculine nouns, with the exception of your nominative singular form here. Now coming to neuters. Neuters are a bit different, but they are not all too terribly different. So we have where boom, where be, which means word. Now, with any neuter of any declension, you have what's called the neuter rule. Now, the neuter rule states that your nominative and accusative forms, whether you're in the singular or the plural, will always look alike. They will have different functions, but they will look alike. So when I decline neuter nouns, I like to apply that neuter rule first. That helps me from making mistakes. So we can add there for our accusative plural. You notice that you also have for your accusative singular forms for your masculine, which makes it a bit easy to remember. The tricky part is down here in the plural. The nominative and accusative plural ending for any neuter will be a short a. So you can add that short a. Be careful not to confuse this short a with the short a you have up here. How you're able to tell the difference is if you know your dictionary entry. You know where boom, where be would be a second declension. So if you see an a on there, it's going to be plural, either nominative or accusative. And then if you have a word like nauta, nautai, you know that's first declension. So the short a would be nominative singular. Now, once you've applied your neuter rule, you add the exact same endings you have for any other second declension noun. So you have where boom, where be, the stem, where. Coming down to your dative singular, you have where bo again. Your accusative singular, we've applied the neuter rule, that gives us where boom. And then your ablative singular, you have an o ending once again for where bo. Now to our plural forms. Nominative plural, since we have a neuter, is a short a, so we have where ba. Genitive plural, we have orum, where borum. Dative plural, we have is, where bis. For our accusative plural, we have where ba, applying our neuter rule. And then for your ablative plural, second declension, you have is, so where bis. So you see that once you apply your neuter rule, you have all of these same forms as you would for any other second declension. Now, if you look at your whole chart here, you will notice certain patterns. Your overall patterns will be in your first and second declension, as well as the third, fourth, and fifth, which we'll later learn. Notice that in the accusative singular, all of these forms will end with an M. That goes for all of your declensions in Latin. It's a very helpful pattern to memorize. So I will just simply write an M there to help you memorize and see that. So all of these end with an M for your accusative singular. Coming down to your plural forms, we see that for your genitive plural, you have the ending room. So for your first and second declension, your genitive plural will end in that room. Now for all your declensions, which you have them all, you'll see that your genitive plural always ends with an So you can either memorize this as room or simply Hopefully that helps you memorize those. Now your dative and ablative plurals both end in is here. So for the first and second declension, very helpful in memorizing forms in that. Your dative and ablative will always be the same within a given declension. And then for the first and second declension, you have the same long I-S ending. And then if you come down here to your accusative plural, you notice that for your masculine and feminine nouns, you have that S ending in your accusative plural always. Same goes for all of your declensions. Why your neuter does not have that is, once again, because it's a neuter, so you want that short A ending for your nominative plural and accusative plural.